Good day, everyone. I hope everyone has been blessed today. Before I got on here to do this video, I did pray to the Lord that for anyone who needs to hear this message to please come across this video. I want to share with you 3 dreams I had over 10 years ago. These dreams stayed with me, and I know for a fact with assurance that they were from the Lord. Maybe you know more, maybe you're a dream interpreter and know more about the dreams that I do, but I will give you my understanding from the dreams. But what I want to do is share the dreams with you, because I believe that we are in the season in which the rapture could take place at any time. The first dream I had, it was back in 2014. I was living in California at the time, and the Lord gave me a dream where I was in this baseball field. Well, it was this field where it looked to have been a baseball field maybe at one point, and I was standing alone. And as I looked up, there was a plane, and I saw an atomic bomb. You know, it looks just like how they look on television, long with that missile look type shape to it, and it was black, and it dropped to the ground, and it bounced, and then it stood still and did not detonate. And I had no fear at all. And I heard the Lord speaking to my right ear. He said, "See what I can keep you from." And then the dream ended just like that. That dream was the start of me having a lot of prophetic dreams from that point on. Now, what that means, that dream meant, at least from my understanding, it means either one of 2 things. Either the Lord is going to have me out of here before nuclear war happens, or maybe if it happens, that he's going to have me somewhere in a place where I will not be affected. But that dream gave me the assurance that the Lord would take care of me. So I don't have a fear of the threat of a nuclear war as maybe the average person has, because the Lord gave me that dream, and I believe him. I believe him, and I take him at his word. He spoke audibly to me in that dream. See what I can keep you from. And I believe that he's going to do just that. So whether it means that the nuclear war is going to happen after the Christians are raptured up, or if it happens while we're still here, he's going to have us in a place where we won't be affected. I don't know which one, but I just know that he's going to take care of me. The second dream I had, it wasn't long after, it was shortly after. But in this dream, I was in a cabin with a few other people, and we were kneeling down on the wooden floor, and there was this entity that was in front of us. And I always refer to it when I think of this dream as an entity, because in the dream I sensed it wasn't fully human, but it wasn't fully robotic. It was a hybrid, I believe, maybe some type of hybrid. And I believe that's essential to mention, because we're living in a time now where there's so much being done with technology and manipulating God's creation. So I thought that was important to mention that this entity, I'm calling it an entity because I knew that it wasn't fully human, but it was a soldier-like entity, and it was placed in front of us. It was standing in front of us with a weapon, and we were in a line kneeling down, and there was a man on one end, and I was on the other end as the first person, and that entity took his weapon and shot the man, and the man fell through the wooden floor. And immediately, by reflex or instinct, I got up and I ran out deeper into the woods. And as I was running, the people were running behind me, and they were shouting and they were screaming. But I just knew, because see, sometimes in dreams you just know without knowing why you know. I knew they weren't following me, but it was as if they were being led to follow me. So I went running, and immediately as I was running, the Spirit of the Lord chased me. And I knew the Spirit of the Lord was behind me, chasing me. And it was like in a wave. It was like the Spirit of the Lord was in a wave, just chasing me, like, whoa. It was like a whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I became even more afraid, and I kept running, and I kept running. And then I heard my late pastor's voice, the late pastor whose church I grew up in back in Sumter, South Carolina. He said, "You can't run from God." I heard his voice in my head. He said, "You can't run from God." And then my sister, I heard her voice too. "You can't run from God." And so I stopped. And I just stood there. And when I stopped, the Spirit of the Lord hovered above me. And also the people who were running behind me, they stopped too. But they were jumping up and down in fear, and they were frantic. And they were screaming, "What must we do? What must we do?" And the Lord was waiting on me to do what I knew I was supposed to do. And so cautiously, because when you're in the presence of the Lord, it can be very scary. And if you're in his presence and you know you have to do something and you don't want to do it, but you know you have to do it, there's a reverence there that you know you cannot mess this up, you cannot displease God. So I carefully walked over there to where the people were, and I got in the middle of them, and I told them, you must give your life to Christ. And the dream ended just like that. Now, from that dream, I took it to mean that maybe the Lord has purposed me to share the gospel any way that I can share it, that it can be shared, to share the gospel. But I knew that the Lord had appointed me in that dream that I needed to tell these people, because in the dream they looked to be foreigners. I don't know, I just sensed that maybe they were foreigners, that you must give your life to Christ. And that's what I did. I told them, you must give your life to Christ. And then the dream just ended just like that. It was like zap. I didn't even get a chance to see their reaction after I told them. It was like zap. The Lord took it away just like that after I told them that. So I knew that was the purpose of the Lord giving me that dream. As far as what that entity was, I don't know. It could be that there's going to come a time, because you know the Bible said that the coming of man is going to be like the days of Noah before the Lord returns. I don't know that part of the dream or what it exactly meant, but I just know that that dream was definitely from the Lord, and that we as believers, we have a mission, we have a duty to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, this is the last dream that I'm going to tell you. I'm going to share this dream. I've had many more dreams, but this dream I want to share, because this dream, I would say, is one of the dreams that, I mean, if this dream is not from the Lord, then what is? I knew that this dream was from the Lord. This dream was so clear and so profound that I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't think of this dream. Well, I was walking in my old neighborhood where I grew up when I was in the elementary school. And as I was walking, I understood that my feet weren't touching the ground, but I was walking on it, if that makes any sense. Well, there was a lake of fire that was surrounding, and I could look down and see the lake of fire, and I had no fear. And it was as if the spirit realm had become visible. Let me put it that way. Almost like the earthly realm had merged with the spiritual realm. But I could see the spirit realm within the earthly realm, and could see the spirit realm around. So it's as if the spirit realm had just simply became visible. And the lake of fire, the fire was flowing like water flows in a lake. It was just flowing, but it was flowing in anger. There was an anger there in that fire. It roared. It was like God's wrath was roaring. It was an angry fire. And now I understood, when I had that dream, I understood why in the Bible it says a lake of fire. Because the fire was flowing like water flows in a lake. But anyway, as I went to my right, there was a line. And these were souls. These were not physical humans, at least in the dream, how I understood it. These were souls. They were silhouettes of human beings. And the silhouettes were gray. It was like a gray silhouette, like their souls had finally come up to be judged. And when I looked at them, there was no room between the front and the back of the people who were in line. Now, have you ever seen pictures of the transatlantic slave trade, how the slaves were chained together and there was no space between them? That's how it was. There was no space between the silhouettes of the human beings, their souls. It was like the front of this soul was touching the back of this soul. And I was looking, and I could look to my left and I could look straight ahead, but I couldn't look to my right. But I knew it was a line of souls. And I don't understand, to this day, I don't understand why I was not able to look to the right, because the line was going that way to my right. But I could see directly in front of me, and I could look back to my left. And when the line would shuffle, you know how a line shuffles when there's so many people? That's how I knew a soul was being judged. And then the line had to move forward for the next soul to come up to be judged. And when I recognized that, I ran into the house. There was my childhood home that was there. just right there, and the people were in line. That part was strange. But my childhood home was there. And in my childhood home, there were 3 doors. There was a front door, a side door, and a back door. I ran through the side door, and as I opened the side door, there were only men in there. And the inside of the house was totally different from how it was when I grew up. I didn't recognize the inside, but I recognized the outside. Now, I don't know if that's of any significance, but I just thought I'd mention it. There were only men in there. And I went to one. I sat down beside him. He just looked so dejected. There was just sorrow and sadness in that room. And I said, give your life to Christ. And he walked off. He scoffed. And so I sat there. I was like, well, should I go after him? But then I looked to my right, and there was another guy standing there. He was looking like hopeless, like there was no hope for him. And I ran to him, and I said, give your life to Christ. And it was as if he didn't even hear me, like I was just not even there to him. So I went and I sat back down, and I pondered, what should I do next? And then the dream ended. So that dream ended on a note of me wondering, what should I do next? Because the 2 guys that I went to, one rejected and scoffed, and the other just didn't even respond. He just looked so hopeless. But that dream to me I don't know if it was, it could have been a warning to me too, that the Lord is coming back. Their judgment will take place. There is a lake of fire. All of that is true. And it's so important for us, the gospel, to be spread all across the world. That day is coming, and the Lord showed it to me clearly. I saw the souls of the damned in line being judged. I didn't see a soul being thrown into the lake. The Lord didn't allow me to see that, and it's probably for good reason. But I did see the line shuffle once a soul was judged and it was thrown into the lake of fire. So I saw the souls, and the souls were just gray, and it was like a smoke. That's what they look like, smoke in the shape of a human. You know how smoke that comes from the chimney, like gray smoke? It looked like the souls look like smoke shaped as a human. That's how the souls look. And I do thank the Lord for giving me that dream, because sometimes we need certain dreams to keep us steadfast, to keep us unmovable, and also to bring us to Christ, to unite in Christ. So I hope that these dreams that I have shared with you have strengthened your faith. And if you are an unbeliever, I hope that it encourages you to seek the Lord and to come to Christ. Have a blessed day.